They should all have had a future. Jack Byrne, whose mother was denied a caesarean section. Ivy Morris, whose heart rate wasn't monitored properly. Pippa Griffiths, whose parents' concerns weren't listened to. Just a few of the victims of repeated catastrophic failures at this hospital trust.
You learn to get on with everyday life, but it never goes away.
Julie Rowlings fought for years to expose the horrific, fatal injuries suffered by her daughter Olivia during birth. Today, she was vindicated.
Her life had a purpose. Her death had a purpose. I felt that she was a statistic of the failings of the trust, and she is kind of still that. But she's helped to make change.
You can give me a hug.
Today, she and other parents heard from the senior midwife reviewing their baby's care, who concluded more than 200 deaths could and should have been prevented.
We now know that this is a trust that failed to investigate, failed to learn, and failed to improve.
Her review found that at least 201 babies could have survived with proper care, as well as 9 mothers who also died. A further 94 children suffered preventable brain damage. Among the damning criticisms, deaths were not investigated, families weren't listened to, and external regulators also missed opportunities to improve care.
Rather than moments of joy and happiness, for these families, their experience of maternity care was one of tragedy and distress.
But the issues here are not just historical. The review's chair says she's still concerned about recent cases with the same familiar themes, and that staff were still scared to speak up with their concerns. The Trust's chief executive apologised and insisted things are improving.
A significantly higher number of staff are coming forward and raising concerns.
And yet some are still afraid of coming forward and were told not to talk to this review.
I'm very concerned if staff feel they can't come forward. We've got many routes in place to enable them to do that.
So how do you explain their fears?
I think within the organisation we have got more to go on culture.
But Rhiannon Davis and Richard Stanton remain doubtful. The review was ultimately the result of their determination to expose failings in the death of their daughter Kate 13 years ago.
I don't think this trust is capable of change on its own as it stands now, but something significant has to happen at this hospital trust to ensure that change really does happen.
Some of these families were even blamed by the trust for the death of their own children. For them, the only acceptable outcome now is that this can never happen again. To that end, the review chair, Donna Ockenden, has identified 60 actions that this trust must now take to improve care here. But she has also identified 15 essential and immediate steps for the NHS across England in order that the tragedy that will define this trust cannot be repeated elsewhere.